Ethan, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Hey, Courtney, good to talk with you. Before we dive into just each of these individual players that you signed, I just want to get your thoughts on overall the class that y'all were able to assemble this year.
Oh, I mean, we're really thrilled by this class. We just feel like we have such versatile, dynamic athletes, and beyond that, they just fit our culture really well. And so we're excited. It feels like we've been waiting for them to sign for forever. Um, and it just fit I mean, it just felt like it fit so perfectly from the time we, started recruiting them to the time they said yes. And so really cool day for us.
Yeah, and then I'd like to just go through each of them individually, and maybe get kind of what you think they bring to the table, both on the field and then just as the people that they are.
Um, well, I'll start with Ava Hodo. She's a catcher corner from Alabama. She's a winner. The teams she plays on, they find a way to win. She's from the Thunderbolts organization. She and Katie King. She has a gun behind the plate. She just does such a good job catching behind the plate, and she has a powerful bat. She's been ranked 1 in the class. I don't know where she's ends up falling in the class, but she is a very great athlete. Katie King's her high school and travel ball teammate. She is a middle that makes things just look easy. She has such good instincts. She has so many tools, and then she's a lefty bat that is just really hard to put away. She has a free spirit. She's really fun. She's just really lighthearted. And they just fit our culture so well. Skylar Starrett's from Sheridan, Arkansas. She's really fast, kind of a raw athlete. She's also she's a track. She runs track for her high school also. So just really, really quick. I think back-to-back years now, she's won the home-to-home competition and overhand throwing velo competition at the national tournament, Alliance Nationals, back to back now. So that's pretty exciting. Anytime we get to keep someone from Arkansas home, it's exciting for us and just our fans of just them embracing her. Mia Johnson is kind of like a quiet assassin. She's just so even keel. She's very soft spoken, and she swings a big bat. She is a powerful bat. She plays for Georgia Impact, and she hits right in the middle of the order. They're really, really strong travel ball team, and she hits right in the middle of the order. So we're excited to get her here. And then Macy DeRoboaz, she's just a versatile athlete. She plays for the Impact organization out of Texas, but she is from Mississippi. I think the cool connection is her mom was the first coach here. So she started the program at Arkansas, and I grew up watching her. So her mom played at Fresno State. My sister too is All-American at Fresno State. And so it's just a really cool moment to get to bring Macy home and have her be a hog. But she can kind of do a little bit of everything on the field. And all 5 of them, they're just incredible humans, really great athletes. But they're just really driven. Their work ethic, everything. It's exactly what you want as a coach.
I'll turn it over to somebody else.
All right, Thomas, we'll go to you and then we'll go to Kyle.
Hey, Coach. First off, appreciate you taking the time.
Mhm.
We're from Alabama. Just talk a little bit about kind of getting the process of getting these 2 Orange Beach players here, and how much recruiting did Katie do to get Ava on board with you guys?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask them. I think they kind of worked each other. But we brought him here early for a camp, and that was before Katie, I think, was even at Orange Beach. So they played for the Thunderbolts. They were on the same travel ball team. Just really worked hard to get him here to give us a chance for a camp. And we just clicked right away. Both of them and us, like just how we do things, how they do things. we clicked really, really easily, really seamlessly. And so for us, it was just, it just felt right. I don't know who had to work on the other one more. I know Katie committed before Ava did. I think their hearts were both here before they started their process. For Katie, she went on a visit and then she was just kind of like, I don't know why I'm going to keep going on these visits. I want to go to Arkansas. And so for me, I got usually it's the text of death where it's like, hey, Coach D, do you have a minute? And I was like, man, really? After one visit, she called and she said, I don't want to take any more visits. I want to be a Razorback. And I was floored. Like very few things surprise me anymore. That one floored me. And then Ava did all her visits and we were her last visit. And so I guess Katie had to work Ava, but I think early Ava had to kind of work Katie. So I think they kind of worked each other enough. So really excited.
Coach, I've got another Katie and Ava question. I think one thing that's pretty phenomenal about them, they've started at a varsity level since 7th grade, and not just started at a varsity level, but been, batting 500, winning state championships, going to state championships, on top of playing for the Thunderbolts, another great organization that you talked about. Talk about that experience that they're bringing in. You get a lot of 4-year starters, I know, that come into college, but it's not very often that you get some with this much experience, particularly coming from the varsity level.
Yeah, well, they're incredibly talented. They're elite at what they do. So yeah, the fact that they were doing that at 7th grade, I don't think I knew that, but I'm not surprised by it. And they're winners. They're known winners. Their teams win. They're driving that. They're right at the forefront of those teams, leading those teams, and doing whatever they need to. I know, like with Katie, she's more of a shortstop, but when we were recruiting her, when she was at Orange Beach, the first year she was there, she played third base. And Daigle, who's a Auburn commit, she was playing shortstop. So Katie's, they're team players. They'll do whatever. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that they're elite at what they do. They're really, really good.
And I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but do you plan on with Reagan, graduating after this year, and Skylar, you're talking about her speed. I know she's played mostly infield, particularly in travel and with Sheridan, but do you maybe think about looking at her in the outfield just with how fast she is?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anything's off the table with any of our players that come in. It's always just trying to figure out the right pieces, the right combination. We definitely have mentioned wanting to see Skylar run it down in the outfield because she's so quick. But she also is really great in the infield. And so it's just going to be figuring out. We have a lot of outfielders right now that are, kind of right behind Reagan Johnson that are going to be wanting their chance too. And so it's going to be a fun problem to solve. I'll tell you that, but we're going to look at her at everything.
Next question. Eric?
Coach, I'm curious, when was the turning point for the program? Because we've talked about when you got here and, how you had to build the program from up. When was the turning point when you realized, hey, we can get any kid in the country over anybody, any program, that now, like you're doing now, whereas, maybe when you got there, you were only certain kids that you knew you couldn't get because you kind of had to build it up first. When was that turning point?
Very good question. I've literally never been asked that, Eric. I like when you ask me those ones from, out in left field. I don't know exactly when that turning point was. I would say it was probably around 21, 22 in there. I think we had won a couple SEC championships. We had established ourselves as a consistent contender up in the top of our conference. And I think that's when we kind of shifted, early. We made our living on the ones that fell through the cracks or had a chip on their shoulder. And then we dabble in getting in those big conversations. And so I think probably around then, we had some big recruits that came in right before our freshman class last year. But I'll tell you, that's, getting Ella and Cam and Ash you know, we worked hard to get some of those top out of Texas, and it took us 6 or 7 years to top ones. And so we just stayed persistent there. But I would say right around then, that 2 to 3 year run where maybe you win one, you don't win the others, but you know, you're in the right conversations, and you win one of those top kids, it changes everything. And so we feel like we may as well throw our hat in the ring for any of them, you know?
Yeah, rightfully so. You've had success getting them. That's why
They wouldn't love us. They just have to give us a chance, Eric.
right. Has your pitch or approach, not pitch, because I mean the message is always the same. Come to Arkansas. This is why you need to come to our program, etc. But have you had to tweak some things over the years from compared to, hey, come here, help us build this, to, hey, let's come here now and we can win a national championship, I would imagine. Is there any subtle differences, any changes, or is it pretty much the same, big consistent across the board?
Yeah, I think there's some things that we're consistent with, and yeah, our pitch has changed because we're a different program than we were early. And other than media always reminding everybody that we weren't very good a decade ago, these recruits don't know that. They don't know that because the Arkansas they know has been the Arkansas of the last 6 or 7 years, which has been a contender. We've competed in the best conference. We've won the best conference. We're knocking on the door to do some, like we compete with the best. But we are reminded all the time that, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we were an afterthought in the softball world. And so, yes, our pitch has changed. I still think that, we still recruit. I don't know that now we're starting to get into the recruits that actually watched us when they were younger, grew up watching this product and said, I want to be there. For a long time, we recruited against the dream, and we weren't the dream because we were not as competitive a decade ago when a lot of them were starting to watch softball. And so I think that's where it's changed a little bit. And so, yeah, for us, we're going to win a lot of softball games. We're going to do it the right way. You're going to be cared for. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be loved. You're going to be respected. And it's always about the person first. And so those are the things that have never changed and will never change when it comes to us.
And then my last question, because I already know the answer about the players, so I'm going to go towards the parents. Do the parents know about your playing career? Do they know there was a national champion, great catcher? Or no? Do they know? That's what I want to know. Okay,
Some
good.
do.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. We
Some
need to bring.
do, but then they probably like see this gray hair coming through, and they're like, "Is it even relevant anymore, old woman?" No, I'm just kidding. No, they do. I think some do their research more than others, because you'll have some players that like we'll have catchers that are like, "I want to come play for a catcher. You were a catcher.
Yes.
That's intriguing to me." And then we'll have some players that are like, "Wait, what? You played in Japan? you played? Yes." So it's all over the map. It's all over the map. I do wish that everyone did more research. Like everyone did more research, because the recruiting process is very interesting, and some are what you see is what you get, and some are what you see as not what you are getting. And so if you do your research and really dive in, I think you start to see those things. And you should know who you're going to play for. So I think that's super important.
All right, I've made the note. I'll bring up more often that you played catcher less about 10 years ago. Got it. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks. Noted.
Evan?
Yeah. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Kind of curious for you. I know, we've talked a little bit about each individual, but as a class as a whole, it feels like there's a lot of versatility. It's not necessarily, kind of just one position heavy. I know that's been important the last couple of years, but what about this class in that there's a lot of kind of utility players. They can play everywhere. Excites you to see them eventually on campus next year?
Well, everything you just said, and they're incredibly, they're versatile. And I think for us, we want to find the best athletes, the most elite players. It's so interesting because I was at my oldest, Trip's baseball lesson last night. I was talking to just a baseball dad, and I was like, "Oh, it's signing day." And I was trying to get my retweets out and everything that we had to do, and he was like, "How's this class? Where's it rank?" I'm like, "I actually have no idea where it ranks. I don't know. But as he found it, I said, I actually feel like this is a much stronger class than it ranks. And there's been times I've looked at our classes and I'm like, this is a good class. I'm not sure it's as good as it's ranking, but this one I think is one of our strongest that we've had. I mean, these 5 can flat play. And the versatility is so intriguing to us because you just never know how the pieces need to fall. And when they can do a number of things and they all swing the bat the way they do, I mean, this game's offensive. And so we can, I just think we can mix and match how we need to. So I don't know. I think this class is one of the strongest that we've had. They can fly down there wherever. I think he told me we were in the teens. It's like, dang, I hope they take offense to that.
Yeah, I believe 15 overall, but I want to ask too, you kind of touched on
15?
social media.
Who did that, Justin?
You touched
Just
on
kidding.
social media. I'm curious with, the evolution of Instagram and Twitter and Facebook over the last couple of years. How has that changed recruiting and getting, the Arkansas brand in front of some of these young players who have only grown up on, Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat? Unlike, I know I'm probably relatively young compared to some other people, but somebody who hasn't necessarily grown up in the social media age.
Are you asking? Wait, what are you asking?
Kind of about how social media has changed the
Has
way that you
changed
recruit
everything? It's changed
when it comes to the
everything.
social media age versus, someone who didn't grow up around social.
It's changed everything, good and bad, honestly. I think it's a tough time to grow up in it because one, like for us, we have to get our brand out there. That's how they live. They live on it. And so we have to get our brand out there. Like they have to feel who we are through social media, and our team does a really good job of that. First, our team dives into who we are, our team being our creative team, dives into who we are and then tells our story. And that's the biggest thing, is like telling our story in a way people can connect to it and know who we are. I think it's a tough time social media wise for recruits because they're constantly playing the comparison game. And so I think it's been a tough time. I think we saw that more in the 2027 the recruiting this fall, but I don't know, there's good and bad to it. I think for us, we're just going to continue to put out there so they can get a sense for who we are. And I think, our creative people kill it when it comes to that. Hope that answered
Awesome.
your question.
It's all good. Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go to Thomas and then we'll go to Kyle. Can you hear us, Thomas? All right, Kyle.
Coach, I wanted to circle back to Macy Deaver Boaz. You talked about her mom, Carrie, being the first coach here, and then you having connections back in, I guess it was the Fresno area. Carrie had actually talked about one time that she had coached, or I guess was coaching your sister lessons, and you used to be running around and everything like that. Just talk running around while they were practicing. Just talk about the full circle moment that is, not just for you to be coaching her daughter, but halfway across the country from where you once knew her.
Yeah, it's just been a really cool process, honestly, just getting to recruit Macy and get to, make her a Razorback is really huge. But even early, it's just having Carrie here and talking to our team, just about how things have changed, just how, Arkansas was when she started the program, and then talking about, like, I grew up watching Carrie pitch at Fresno State. And it's interesting because Carrie was such a competitor, and Fresno State back in their prime, they had elite pitching, and their pitching was just so competitive. And so it went from Carrie Deaver, I believe, and Eric, maybe you can help me with this. I believe it went Carrie Deaver to Maureen Brady, who's Maya Brady's mom and Tom Brady's sister, to my sister, Amanda Scott, and Margie Wright just had things rolling there. But she not only had elite talent and competitors, they just kind of, to keep it, PG on here, they just had an edge to them that they were just you just wanted to watch them. They just played at such an elite level. And so it was cool. I went to camps growing up at Fresno State. My sister got to watch my sister there. And so then Carrie started the program here. One of my good friends was on her staff. You know, it's just, there's so many connections. And so even Julie Kane, who works in our department, she was a athletic trainer for Carrie when she was here, and now she's in administration. She works at our program, and she just signed off on Macy's paperwork, and she's like, that was a full circle moment for me. So there's just so many cool things, so many cool connections. I could go on and on. It's really, really cool to get to bring Macy home.
Justin?
I will note, we had you as the 13th best signing class. I want those 2 spots just for the record.
That hardly makes it any better, but that's fine.
It makes me feel better. That's what I was going for there.
Okay.
No, I'm curious about something. You were asked earlier about the 2 Thunderbolts kids and the fact they play high school ball together. And you don't often get players who've played together, ended up at the same school together. You had those 3 who came from the Impact Gold last year. You got those 2 from Orange Beach this year. Just curious, how much does that play? I know you're big on team chemistry, and that's such an important thing to you. How much does that play in once they get to college? The fact that, you know, you got 2 members of a 5-member freshman class that already know each other pretty well.
I think it's a big thing. Yeah, we're really big on team chemistry, and yeah, I think there's just something to be said about like just really knowing someone else in that, and you're like in it together. So yeah, I mean, even with Cam and Ash and Ella playing together, Cam and Ash also played high school with Kaylee Wyckoff. And so there's just like different connections of, yeah, just understanding each other. I think you get here and things are sometimes different, but they always just have that, that core of just understanding each other and getting to go through it together. So it's pretty huge. A lot of just team chemistry is like just understanding the other person and respecting the other person. And so it's nice when they have a head start on that. So yeah, it's huge.